I don't know if it were a comedy, but uh, the idea was to be as accurate as possible to the lifestyle.
Mhm.
And Henry's tone in the book, from which most all the voiceover is taken, had that sense of exhilaration,
Mhm.
and had that sense of children aspiring to see these powerful men in the neighborhood, wanting to be like them. And I thought that Henry be such a great conductor into the underworld, taking us around and to the 9 different levels, so to speak, of the underworld life, and to do it in very much the same way that it does in the book, through his narration.
Mhm.
In which the narration eventually, towards the end of the film, especially in the last day before he gets arrested, it becomes almost more like music, and
Sure.
you don't really have to listen to it. It becomes a sense of panic.
That's right.
It literally is taking the audience, putting his arm around the audience and taking him into this world. And it's very important that it's on that personal level.
Mhm.
But most importantly, it has with it the danger of the humor of these characters, and the humor being very, very much something which is attractive.
Yeah.
And
It's
almost glamorous in a way.
Sure.
Because it's important for the audience to be taken through this lifestyle, the way children are, in a way, with growing up in those areas where they're attracted to it because of the what appears to be glamorous.
Mhm.
And then, of course, if they get involved after a certain amount of time, there's maybe 6, 7 years, 8
Yeah.
years, they either get into they go to jail and they start that whole process of going back and forth to jail, or get killed, or get involved with, they have to start paying for it, right? But he still is not repentant. He's not hypocritical in the
Right.
sense where he says, "Oh, I'm sorry for what I did." He just regrets that he's not that way anymore.
That's right. That's right.
And which whatever it says, it says. I think everybody can draw their own conclusions about our society and that type of living, that type of life, and the people in that society. Well, I think his take, for whatever we can believe of it, in terms, because anybody, if you have 3 people in a room and something happens to one, there'll be 3 different stories as to how it happened. So, taking that aside, really it was his description of the way the people related to each other, and how incidents would occur, and how if one man did one thing and the woman did this, how it would affect a third person. For example, in the killings towards the end of the film, how he began to realize how easy it was for somebody to be killed just by a word,
Mhm.
rather than where I think De Niro tells him at one point, "Bring him here tonight."
Yeah.
And then he changes his mind, And then, well, I want to give it away, but it's also arbitrary. A lot of it's very arbitrary, and there's no big dramatic sit down
Sure.
in a way. Well, I think it's all in the choosing of the people, because if you choose people who don't have that, who don't understand the lifestyle, who don't understand what you're trying to do, then there will never be there'll never be that communion that you need with the actors and the story. Everybody has to, from the very beginning, all agree on the movie they're making. Because after a while, as you say, it would have to be a situation where you enforce your will
Right.
on people, and they'll do it. But they won't understand what they're doing.
True.
They won't feel comfortable with it. It'll show. It'll show in the images. Here he's a regular person. He's not. He's probably the only character in the picture who doesn't kill anybody. It's involved with robberies, but he never kills anyone. He stops there.
Yeah. And so it was.
I just thought his
The
range
demi-film,
would be
the
interesting. I
range.
like the expression of his face.
Yeah.
And I thought that he would be interesting relating to people like old friends like De Niro and Joe Pesci and
Sure.
Lorraine Bracco, and it would be quite a volatile combination to put together. I think it's a matter of in a funny way, we kind of grin all the time during the making of this film, because he kind of plays the old professore, the old mentor, and in a funny way, he's playing the mentor to the other actors too. In a way, the grand old man standing there. I guess we've kind of bemused by our getting a little older, and playing a character where he isn't living on the in this particular film is not living on the edge of his emotions.
Yeah.
He's a guy who controls. He controls ultimately. By the end of the film, he controls a great deal.
Sure.
Things begin to revolve around him completely, but with seemingly very little action on his part, which is interesting for the stage we're at now in our careers too.
True.
Well, I think that's always very, very important, and it's good to say here now that all of these interviews that one has to understand when they see pictures like this, when they hear about this sort of thing, that organized crime is an aspect of is a phenomenon in the Italian American community. It is not the Italian American community. It's a very, very, very small percentage, and they make themselves known. They make themselves known in those areas, especially when you're living. I grew up in an area that was very, very much enclosed, the east side of Manhattan, Lower East Side, not the west side. The west side Italian American area had a little more of the outside world to it because it was involved with Greenwich Village. You had painters, you had poets, you had a life going on that was other than Italian American. But on the east side, there was none of that. It was just Italian American, and that was it. Different groups of Italians, Neapolitans, Sicilians, and different groups within the Sicilians too. What we're trying to do here is deal with it as truthfully as possible, unlike any other movie, I hope.
I had no idea how the movie would turn out. I mean, it was a great experience and all that, but you never know what the impression is it's going to make on people.
When did you realize that it was going to be what it became?
Today.
Yeah, right.
Why do you think this film has resonated with so many for so long?
It's good. It's just a good movie. You're finding out and learning about this lifestyle that thank God, 99% of us don't know about.